Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's XAUUSD Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Tonight's webinar is live Forex market review, so I'll get into that in a moment. Before we do, if you can read through the disclaimer, if you're on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch there, or you could join us in the webinar. Just head over to our webinar page and register. Normally I would put in the link to that in the chat there, but for some reason it wouldn't let me copy and paste, so just head over to our website and you'll be able to register. All right, so just get everybody else to read through the disclaimer. If you have a question, just to the question box or the chat box, and I'll see it coming in. All right, we'll move along now. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at XAUUSD Securities, and I am a full-time Forex trader. I've been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email's there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with me at our website. Go to the Market News tab at acy.com, or go to our YouTube channel, XAUUSD Securities Australia, or you could connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn on those handles there. As well, through the week, we have our Telegram channel. If you'd like to get access to that, just contact Nathan Bray. His email's there at the bottom. I will try and put it in the chat, but I had a problem copying and pasting before I came on, so I don't know quite what's going on. So if you want to contact Nathan, his email's there at the bottom. I will try and put his details in the chat now. There we go, so it's working now. Right, so Nathan's details are there. If you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates that I use, then simply contact Nathan and he'll be able to organize that for you too. Any questions regarding setting up a demo account or a live account, he'll be able to help you out too. So just contact Nathan. All right, let's get into, first of all, the news items for the day. Now, just worth discussing what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we had the US CPI data. The year on year actually went up, and so did the core PPI. So year on year moved up from 3.6 to 3.7. So of course there's a definite question that we still have. I'm just going to pause because I don't know if you can see my screen. Let me just make sure I'm sharing the proper screen. All right, hopefully you can see my Forex Factory screen now. All right, so yesterday we had the CPI data. The year-on-year data for CPI came in at 3.7, slightly better than 3.6. So went up. In fact, the month before it's 3.2. We're expecting 3.6 and it's actually gone to 3.7. So inflation is definitely rising there in the US. So we do have the FOMC statement coming out next week. And I guess the question is, even though maybe the market's expecting no rate rise before that news announcement, will we get a rate rise as inflation is upticking? All right, now today, or this evening, we've got the Eurozone main refinancing rate, monetary policy statement, not expecting any change there unless there's a surprise. But it's usually very volatile, especially when we get the press conference at 10:45. So if nothing really happens with the rates and it comes in expected there, shouldn't be too volatile at that point. But when we get the press conference, that's where they will start to discuss, our rate's going to be rising next month. What's the forward guidance? Okay. So as well, we have the US at 10:30 p.m. We have the core PPI data, retail sales, PPI data, core retail sales and retail sales and unemployment claims. So there's lots of information coming out at 10:30. PPI data is all, again, to do with inflation expectations. So the market will be clearly looking at those figures. The forward guidance here is expecting a slight tick down on the core PPI and a slight uptick on the PPI. So maybe not too much change there. So we'll have to wait and see what the figures bring in. All right, but be very aware with the ECB press conference, interest rates. Now from 10:15, I guess through to at least an hour later, 11:15, it's going to be highly volatile for euro crosses. All right, and then of course got the US news there too. So be very aware of that. All right, let's get into the charts. Now I'll start with the dollar index. This is the daily view. Starting to hold above this top here, which is a weekly top. Positive day on the dollar yesterday after the inflation figures. All right, and I've been discussing from a week perspective that we are moving maybe above 2 weekly highs here. Can we come up to the monthly high up here? That's the big question over the next week with, of course, the euro interest rate decision tonight, FOMC statement next week on the 21st. Will we be coming up to test this monthly high up here? All right, it's holding its ground very well at the moment. All right, S&P 500. It's a little consolidatory. It's just moving back above at the moment, this area of support or resistance. Well, we have noted we formed a bit more of a lower top here, but we have a lower top, higher bottom. So I'm guessing the market's still not quite sure which way it's going to break. Back to the upside or back to the downside. So, I mean, I've been looking at this from the weekly chart perspective that we could be putting in a lower top here to then move further down. Let me just get my got this new drawing tool, which I'm trying to get to grips with. Could have moved down here. This could be forming a lower top to move down this way. If the US dollar keeps upticking, and if the market starts to anticipate that maybe interest rates need to further rise, that's negative for the stock market. All right, so, but this stock market is just asking the question after a negative week last week, are we going to be putting in a lower top here on the weekly chart? Okay, so a break below 44.30 is going to maybe confirm that. That's last week's low. Okay. All right, moving on. Let's get into euro dollar head of. Tonight's data. And we'll just go to the day charts. All right. This fib just run across last week's range. Now, I'll just take that off for a moment. We're in a downtrend here. We've been coming up to retest broken support. It's been holding there for 2 days. All right, and today we've actually cycled back up a little bit inside the range of yesterday. But we could be then moving down for today. This is just clearly lower, lower bottom, lower top, holding at resistance. Are we moving further down? Next level of support really on the horizon is 106.67. There's this more recent one at 106.86. Now for our chart, I've been monitoring the range of last week. I discussed this in last night's webinar. Held twice in that 62% level of last week's range and at the broken day support. And what could be happening here as the data is getting released is that we've had, that's last week's move down. This is corrective. And are we now moving down towards the 127 extension? Coming down to test that day support level at 106.67 now. Looking at a closer look at price action. Just monitoring the range of yesterday. I might just go to the high of the day before here, down to the low of yesterday. Is just been a little bit short of the 79% retracement of that price action. When the data comes out tonight, I would definitely be looking up here where we've been failing all week. All right, so that fib probably won't work too well when it gets very volatile. So I will be just simply watching up here. 62% level of last week's range. The daily resistance level, which is also last month's low, up there between 107.61 to 107.65 would be the area to watch. All right, it's been held there for 2 days, if not 3. We're a little bit short yesterday, but really, being held there is that where we're topping out for the week. Azu, hello to you. So it's obviously difficult taking a position ahead of the interest rate decision and the US data, but that's the area that I'll be watching. And you can see yesterday, or even just the high yesterday where we had the CPI data high, couldn't get up to resistance, just actually a pip short of the 62 level. All right, so that's the height where we could get to yesterday after the news. That could be the same deal. All right, so watch up there. All right, Euro Yen. Now, I was discussing this area on Tuesday, which we didn't quite get down to it. So support came in ahead of day support. All right. And I was discussing that we came down into the 62% level of last month's trading range. So let's just tidy that up so we can go to the day chart. All right, so that range I've got drawn in with a fib is last month's trading range. Almost got down to the 79% level. Folks breaking these two lows. So it's not easy going at the moment. Well, of course, the interest rate decision is coming out. And so you're asking me, you don't understand the CPI release yesterday. Well, CPI went up, so that's US dollar strength in general terms. That's my interpretation. And the market went up and down, through that news release. And, some of the pairs may have finished slightly positive versus US dollar, but that's what happened. Now this this Euro Yen, this weekly area over here, we're just trying to hold above. I'm not sure whether the market's really referencing that area now because of all this other price action that's been happening across that line. So I'm aware of where it is. It's pretty much 158, it's 157.99, but I'm just going to take that level off. All right, because we've come down on false broke to a lower bottom, come up, and we could be forming a little minor double top here. That's why I'm not sure this area is really working. So I'm just going to monitor that area at the moment for a reversal. We've actually had a day down, so it could already be confirming the double top here with a day down. I just want to see where we've run it back to in terms of that range. 62 level overlaps with that top. Let's just drop it to the 4-hour chart. All right, so last week's high. We've already actually come down on the 4-hour chart and then rallied back to level. So we dropped, rallied, and now we could be coming up to put in another, a lower top. Okay. So through the day, I'm just going to drop to the 50-minute chart. I'm anticipating that we could be holding here to move down at the moment. Just going to go to the 15-minute chart. Just want to draw a fib from that high all the way down. I would be monitoring up here. Last week's high, 79% level of the range I've just drawn in comes in at 158.49. Pretty much where we've been, we failed once, failed twice, but we could come up for another test of that area today to hold. That would be the area I would be watching at the moment for an opportunity to sell. All right. Until if we break above yesterday's high, then we're probably not in sell mode anymore, but there's a possibility of a double top forming there on the day chart. So just watch up here through the trading day. What happens if we revisit 158.49 up there? Euro pound. Now this is how I had my chart laid out on Tuesday. I said watch the 79% level up to weekly resistance, and we pretty much rejected the 79% level. So we could now be topping out up there to move down in line with the weekly downtrend. We go to the weekly chart. I've been saying that we've had a lower top, lower bottom. So it's the weekly chart. That's where I have my fib drawn. lower top to lower bottom, retracing back up. I'm anticipating we could be putting in a lower top here to put in another lower bottom. It's very difficult going on the euro pound at the moment. I'd probably go to a better pair, but it is showing a downtrend on the weekly chart, rather range bound, very difficult at the areas of support for price to move through. To the 4-hour chart. So after fading very aggressively up there, I will draw a fib and then watch to see if this can come up to the 79% level. Look to see for failure there, stop above the high. If that can happen, okay. For then a lower top to form on the 4-hour chart to turn into a downtrend. After that rejection yesterday, there's a good rejection down the 4-hour chart, good rejection on the day chart from that level. All right, let's get into the pound. Pound's a bit range bound. It's getting back into this kind of price action that it was showing last month. However, it is respecting two levels. Support is 124.48, which is this area over here, a monthly high. So if you go to the monthly chart, it's this high area here being support. Weekly chart, that's it there. The day trend is down at the moment. I mean, it did finish positive yesterday on the candle. It is a bit of a rejection candle there from monthly support. But through the week as well, we've been holding at daily resistance, putting in another lower top here. So, and that did move down to a fraction lower 0.2. So trend is still holding to the downside. And of course, we could spike up. You know, my thought process with the day chart clearly holding to a downtrend. It's just getting support, a monthly support, resistance at daily resistance. Is the trend is down until it changes. So I would monitor the range that we've been forming this week. And again, after the volatility of the news comes out, I would look up to the 79% level for a possible volatility spike up to 125.23, or even back up to retest resistance up here at 125.44. So watching this area up here after the news. Now, it's difficult at the moment with these very high impacting news items coming out. Price can do whatever it wants when the news comes out, and you just can't get in because price might just drop. Price may quickly spike up before you can make a decision about what's going on, and then drops straight back down. But that's just trading these volatile, around these volatile times. So you just have to be prepared to miss out, but be very, get your charts ready with the levels to watch. So I'll be watching up there on the pound dollar, 125.23 to 125.48. Pound yen, it did actually get support where I said on Tuesday, the 79% level there to move up. It is just holding a trend on the 4-hour chart there, just to the upside. To the daily, that's the range of last month. I drew in on Tuesday, getting support at 62 level. It's heavy going to the upside though. Struggling at this weekly high over here at 180.400. So it's not easy going on the pound yen at the moment. If it's not easy going, you don't have to trade it. You can just keep watching until price action looks a little bit nice. It's still like holding lower top, lower bottom formation here. It could still move further down the range if it really wants to. If the pound dollar breaks 124.48 monthly support, this is probably going to continue down. So it's not easy, the pound yen at the moment. So I'm just leaving it alone, but you could watch to see where it keeps closing. If it starts to close back above 184, you might start to see 184 become support, and that would be the level to trade up from to test these highs at the top. All right, so a bit difficult at the moment, pound yen. All right, let's get into Aussie yen. Now, Aussie yen's just again patience. I said on Tuesday, I've been saying for a fortnight now or more, this is in a range, and the top of my range is there. We traded into it today after the unemployment figures from the Aussie. 94.85 up to 94.93. Could even go to that high there, 95.05 or 9500. But today we've been up to 94.93, so it's come up to that level there. That's how I've had my top of the range drawn at the moment. And we could be holding here to move down. You know, nobody knows if this is going to hold here to move down. I can see that we have a higher bottom in the middle of the range, which isn't ideal, but you know, that top of the range can most definitely hold and then move back down to the bottom of the range. So you just have to decide yourself, do you want to trade? My range trade technique, drawing my fib across my range. What I do, I'll show in the 4-hour chart. I think I showed you this on Tuesday, but let me get my drawing tool in here. All right. Simply, at the top of the range, which we traded at today, you have your sell. Stop goes at the 127R. And then you're targeting down to the bottom of the range. The bottom of the range is anywhere from 93.03 down to 92.78. All right, approximately the 93 level. That gives you a good risk reward opportunity. You're only going to be wrong if price breaks out of the range. Okay. Now, just drop down the 15-minute chart. What it has done since it hit, so this happens on all time frames when it hits resistance or support and then rejects. We've hit resistance, we've dropped, and then what often price will do is it will retrace back to retest the level, and often the retest also overlaps with the 79% level. So we may get another retest of this area today. Clearly up here, the 79% level up to the top is the area to watch if you want to trade this pair up here. All right, whether or not I can quite get it right up to the top, I don't know. You'll have to watch. That's the area to watch for your shorting opportunity. All right, that's the area to watch. Aussie dollar. This is how I had it set up from Tuesday. I've been saying that this is a range, the larger range from the day chart. All right, 62 level overlaps with monthly broken support. So that's resistance there at 64.58. That's the level to watch. You might not be able to get there. Sometimes you're watching level and you're just waiting for it to get there and you miss by a couple of pips. So there's a larger range there, or there's a slight smaller range from last week's trading range. That's last week's high to low here. From last week's high to low, we traded to the 79% level. I covered that last night in last night's webinar. I would be selling at 79 level, stop above last week's high, looking for that to trade down. So at the moment, you may see this come back up. I would watch that 79% level, 64.53 up to 64.58, the monthly resistance level. That's the level to watch for a sell. High time frame trends are down. So whilst we've been having some upticking this week, it's just back up to sell levels. All right. Oh, I got a question from somebody anonymous. Pound yen, pound dollar, euro yen, and euro dollar have been in a sort of a range these past days. I'm wondering how fib retracements have been applied by myself. Hard to do on the pound yen, and well, I've already covered those pairs, so I don't know if I've got time to go backtrack and do those four again. You could after this webinar, what you could do is just hop over to our YouTube channel and catch the recording. It'll be there. You can just hop back and look at those pairs. All right. But if I go back to the euro dollar, just because that's the main event pair of the day, I'm looking at the range of monitoring at the moment is last week's high to low. 62 level is where the market's holding at daily resistance. So that's the level I'm watching at the moment. That's how I've got my fib drawn. Most of my fibs at the moment are drawn across last week's trading range of most pairs. Same on the pound dollar. Okay. So that's how I've got it on the euro dollar. All right, so back to the Aussie. Watching that 79% level in this range at monthly resistance, okay, for a trade back down. New Zealand yen. All right, very similar to the Aussie yen. This is how I got my range drawn out from Tuesday. You can see it's come up to the top of my range. As I was just saying before, in terms of a trade, how will you trade the range? I said this on Tuesday. The trade would be to sell at the top of the range, stop at the 127 arc, targeting back down to day support, which is at 86.13, the bottom of the range. All right. So I'm using daily resistance, 87.23 for the top of my range at the moment, and day support at 86.13 for my bottom of the range. All right. So there's a potentially there a sell opportunity. Stop goes at 127R. I would actually put my stop just above that high if you wanted to trade that range. In terms of ranges, this isn't the best range. It's very, very sideways. But if you wanted to trade this pair, it is in a range, so you have to trade like a range. I'm just showing you how you would trade it. The range on the Aussie yen is probably a little bit nicer, but this is still a range, and you need to trade it like it's a range. All right, until, of course, price action breaks out of the range. So that's how we'll be looking at the New Zealand yen there at the moment. Highly range bound at the moment. All right, let's get into the New Zealand dollar. All right, so that's my New Zealand dollar. Sorry, that's New Zealand yen still. All right. My mouse doesn't seem to be working very well today for some reason. Might need to put a new battery in it. All right. So this is how I'm looking at the range on the New Zealand. Been watching the range for the week in terms of last week. So the high and low of last week, I'm monitoring the upper end of the range, 79% fib. I discussed that last night. Looking for price action to trade back up to the 79% level within the last week's range. That's your sell level to trade back down. Well, we've tagged that today and we're selling off from that level. So the trade would have been, if you wanted to get real precise, sell at the 79 level, stop above last week's high, trade down. Now, trend is down. It's a little bit choppy, but ultimately, the bigger range, long-term trend has been moving down from this double top. We move down like so. We're just, halfway back up that range. And monitoring last week's range, which is high to low, we've touched the 79% level, okay? So that could be the high of the week to trade down for the rest of the week. All right, you could be monitoring for a further test of this level later in the day when the news comes out. All right, as soon as it got up there today, it wanted to drop. And like I said before, comes back up to retest the level at the 79% level here to then come down. All right, so there is the possibility that price will come back up to this area once more today when the news comes out, and that's the level to watch up there. 79% level at 59.38, where we've been failing all day. 79% fib of last week's range, okay? All right, dollar Canadian. Keeps moving down. The more it keeps moving down, I just want to check what oil is doing. Oil has got a very strong trend at the moment. All right, we've broken out. That's positive for the US dollar Canadian to move down. If oil's getting stronger, that's, well, positive for the Canadian dollar. So when we look at the US dollar Canadian, that means potentially that's going to mean the US dollar Canadian is going to move down because the Canadian side is strengthening, okay, in general terms. So, and what we've been seeing on the day chart there is a sell-off. It's just holding to its trend now. We are, though, let's just double check, we are having a week down this week. This is the weekly chart. We're holding at this weekly resistance area here. That range, the large range there, is the monthly range. So we could actually be putting in a lower top here on the monthly charts. Here's your monthly chart. We have a lower top, lower bottom. Have we come up to put in a lower top? You know, are we starting to form a lower top potentially on the monthly chart for a further move down? So we're holding at weekly resistance. We're having a week down. There's a very minor higher bottom here, just there, which is this area here. So we're coming into an area of support. The area of support is 135.10 down to 134.89. So if the US dollar strength prevails, as it has been for the last good month and a half or so, 2 months, then potentially we could be pulling back to this area, 135.10 to 134.89, approximately the 135 level. This could be where support comes in to then trade back up to retest this area up here. Bit of a positive day yesterday. Bit of a spinning top. And if we just look at this, if we get rid of that fib at the moment from the monthly range, we could come down and actually form a left shoulder head inverse head and shoulder pattern, left shoulder head, right shoulder here. So there's two sides of the market that you could be trading. You could obviously be trading down from the top up here, but down at support, you could be looking for the opportunity to trade up. So there is a potential here for a left shoulder inverse head, right shouldered form there. Could be getting support here at the 79% level, so you could be dropping down to a lower time frame. Or you could be looking to buy here at the 79% level, stop below the low. All right, so, you know, we don't have to put the right shoulder in exactly equal to there. Could be buying at the 79, stop below the low, looking to target, you know, looking to target back up to retest resistance. So entry, stop. That's your first target. Weekly resistance, 136.54. That's the high point we fell down from. So target 2 would be 136.94. And, you know, perfect if it could move up through to the 127 extension level, if it kicks into a good strong trend to the upside. All right, so there's a possibility there of a buying opportunity to trade up if you potentially like the idea that a head and shoulder pattern could be forming there close to day support. Or you could be dropping down to a lower time frame. And simply monitoring here at the moment at the 79 level to see whether the lower time frame presents you with a trigger to get long. All right, so if you get a clear break above the trend line, clear break above these 50-minute highs, then, you know, that could be your buy area, stop below this area. Get a tighter stop to get long from that 79% area. Okay, that's my thoughts on the dollar CAD. Dollar franc, nothing's much changed. It, you know, as I've been kind of pinpointing, you know, are we down, rally down here on the dollar franc at the resistance area that we're in? But at the moment, the market's just sitting in that area. So until it starts to show some kind of signal maybe that it wants to top here, we could still be moving higher. It's just a very difficult area to be a trader in. So I'd actually look at a different pair than this one at the moment. You know, we're at resistance. When I last discussed this pair on Tuesday, I think I said it was in a 30 pip range. Things haven't improved that much. So I'd leave that pair alone at the moment. It's at resistance in a very narrow range. So just let price action show some nice price action that you can clearly understand. Is it going to top out here? Does it show you a clear signal that it wants to top out? And if it does, well, you know, look for an entry. Now it is 62% of that range. It's trying to hold at weekly resistance. 89.26. We're trading at 89.33 at the moment. So you can just keep watching to see if it does actually fail there. All right, getting to the dollar yen, which is retested monthly resistance yesterday. Now, let's just go through the time frames, monthly chart. Just squashing it in a little bit. We're at key monthly high point from back in 96 or so, from over here, 147.68. We've tagged it this week. Now, the market does not want to commit above there at the moment. And of course, those that are familiar with what happens from the Bank of Japan, this is the area where they've been intervening previously. So it's very dangerous to be getting long so high up. I said that on Tuesday. Trends, though, are up. That monthly trend is up. This weekly trend is up. We've had a week down and we're back to being positive for the week. Day trend is up, higher top, higher bottom. And I was saying, you know, you want to try to look to buy a dip. Don't be trying to be a buyer so high up close to the monthly resistance level here that we keep tagging. We've held here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of trade at that level at 147.68. Cannot really trade too much through it. So there is a big question that is that a failure point? Just want to have a look at my other charts. Let me bring my MACD charts up. I just want to see what MACD is telling us on the dollar yen. Now, from a pure time frame analysis, everything's in an uptrend, but we're at that major historical monthly level at the moment. So dollar yen, you know, the day chart perspective here, we've got some divergence. On the weekly perspective, that's not telling us anything other than it's in a trend. And the monthly, that's crossed up. That's just bullish in terms of information. That's bullish. Day chart is divergent. And the 4 hour in this area before dropping down on Monday morning. Well, can't really say it was divergent because it's only divergent after the fact that it's dropped, but not seeing any divergence here in this area at the moment, unless we come up, trade through and then drop down, because this would potentially be a lower area to this area here. But yeah, the day chart does show a little bit of divergence. So maybe the momentum to the upside is definitely running out, but the price trends are still up. So difficult being a buyer at such high levels on the dollar yen. So I will just be, as I said on Tuesday, if we can get a healthy dip, then you could look for the opportunity to be a buyer on whatever setup you like to look at. Other than that, it may be a question of waiting to see a clear signal to go short at such high levels. I'm not seeing that at the moment, so I'm just monitoring, okay? But be very aware, you know, from your monthly chart perspective, if you've got this same historical data that I've got, this high over here from back in, it's actually August 98. 147.68, very historical. We've already had a very aggressive sell-off for a couple of months from that level. Would not surprise me to see another aggressive sell-off from that level again. All right. But the day chart at the moment is not presenting you with a signal yet. Now, if we start to form a lower top and a lower bottom, a bit of a change, then we could actually be getting ourselves set maybe to look for a short. Okay, but at the moment, I'm not seeing anything quite there yet. All right, let's get into gold. Last one to review. Now, it's broken back below that level that I was discussing. 1916 weekly support. All right, it's actually putting in a lower weekly top. Or I've seen some analysis today maybe suggesting that gold's going to go up. But from my perspective, we have here in the weekly chart, we have a triple top up at that 2074 level, move down, lower top, lower bottom just. Are we forming a further lower top after a 62% retracement to then move down and through, moving down and through 1916 weekly support. So high from over to the left historically. And can we move down through 1892 weekly support to maybe move down and through and put another leg down there to that 127 extension, 1857. So that's what I would anticipate may be happening. And that would line up with coming down to fill this imbalance over here from the day chart. All right, so the day chart, it has this week put in a lower top to a lower bottom. Quite clear now, the level to watch if you move to the 4-hour chart is any retracement back up to 1916 and into those lows here that was forming support in that area. All right, so pretty much the 1916 level. You can see yesterday after the news, we actually came up to that level. That's where the sellers took control to move down. Now, it may play nice. It may come back up to that level again to offer you another short from that key level. That's the level I will be watching if the market presented with that opportunity, okay? But it most definitely looks like it's to the downside at the moment until it changes trend. It is putting in a lower top, lower bottom back now on the day chart, moving back below weekly support. So back to the downside. All right, any more questions? Oh, I've got another question here that I couldn't see because my box is getting too small. All right, Anonymous, so you're asking me more about the fibs. So the application of the fib is to focus on the range for a period, e.g. weekly, to determine retracement levels for high probability trade entry points. Well, sometimes I'm just using the range of last week. Sometimes I'm using a range from a swing point high to a swing point low on the chart. It all depends. There's numerous different ways of fib application. So the way I was showing you across the weekly range is one of the ways that I most definitely do it every week. But for one application where this is the Aussie dollar, how it's sitting here on my 4-hour chart, that's last week's high to low. I'm monitoring that range. All right. I'll move to the day chart. There's another range to monitor, which is from that high to low. All right, that's a swing point high down to a swing point low. So that's how you draw it from swing points. In the current price action that I'm seeing here on the Aussie, I'm using, I could be using that range if I wanted to, but because we're trading within the range of last week, I'm monitoring the range of last week. All right. So there are various ways of using fibs. I use them across swing point ranges and also across the weekly range from last week's trading range. Slavia, when we look at the JP225, all right, we're putting in a higher bottom on the day chart. Let's have a look at the monthly. I don't have too much data, so I don't know where we are historically, but in the most recent price action, this is quite clearly an uptrend on the monthly. It's actually down on the weekly and up on the daily. So, the key area of resistance to watch at the moment is quite clear up there, 33482.71. Now, last week it did put in a rejection candle, and we could just be trading back up into the high levels of last week before moving down. So that's the range of the weekly range that we're moving back up with all this price action up here. It's looking a bit bullish at the moment in terms of the day chart. Are you looking for a short up here? Is that what you're looking at? Just want to drop to the 4 hour. Does this actually trade? Does it? I'm not that familiar with the trading session for the Japanese yen. In the past, I know if you trade in the indices, it's a futures contract. So I'm not sure whether the JP225, the CFD product here, trades out of the hours of. Does it still trade when the stock market's closed, or does it trade just when the stock market's open? 24 hours, all right. Although I just saw the price move. Okay. So, I mean, you could monitor this range. This is on the 4 hour chart now. And you could start to watch to see whether we move below the 79% level to trade down. Or, you could at least wait on the day chart perspective at the moment. There's no negative candle there to say, okay, we're back up to the high points, high area, and we want to reverse. Maybe you just need to watch to see what it does up here at 33,482. Does it hold there? I mean, there's obviously that bigger range from that high as well to that low, 79% level. We've got bigger range overlaps with this area of resistance too. So, that area up there would most definitely be the area to watch for failure if the market wanted to fail. Does it give you a signal up there? That's what I'll be looking at. All right, that's my view there on the JP225. I mean, overall though, the higher time frames are clearly up. So if it does falter there, great. If it moves through there, it's probably moving up and beyond. Manuel asked me about the MT4. So in order to learn more on how to use the MT4 configuration, is there any training material or everything is here with you in a weekly webinar? In terms of, if you have some questions about MT4 and the layouts, if you contact Nathan, he should be able to hop on the phone with you and help you out with any questions. So if you send Nathan an email, you got some questions on MT4 configuration, whatever they are, and then he should get back to you, and you might be able to jump on and give you a 10 to 15 minute chat and answer anything that you've got. Okay, does that help? He should be able to help you out there. Or, if you have a question right now, you can ask me and I can help you out. So I'll give you a minute to ask me a question. While I'm waiting for that question or not, just to let you know, coming up next week from me, I'll just take you through what's coming up from me next week. Next Tuesday, live market analysis from me. Next Wednesday, going to be going through a session called high probability trading levels using the monthly and weekly candlesticks. So looking at the high and lows of last week's candle. So basically the weekly highs and lows and the monthly highs and lows, using those levels to trade around. How you can identify them clearly on charts, and got plenty of trading examples to show you that the price action most definitely holds at those levels and turns around. So that's lesson there, and then more analysis next Thursday from me. All right, let's go back to my charts. All right, Manuel, you're all fine at the moment. Well, just check in with Nathan. If you have any questions, he'll be able to help you out. Slav, you want me to talk about silver? All right, last one before we finish up. All right, so you're telling me you shorted silver from recent highs. So you shorted from up here, or you shorted from here? Up at 24.92? All right. So we're a bit range bound. There's a range here that we're obviously trading in. I mean, the trend on the monthly chart's up till we break the last higher bottom, but we're quite clearly trading within this large range, tagging the 79% level over the last 3 months. So I would say maybe that's an indication that we're going to be moving down. Weekly trend is quite clearly consolidatory here until we break one way or the other. That's where we've been obviously failing there at the 79% level. So clearly it's this area here that's going to be contentious for you. Can we break, 22.21, 22.21.2, and 22.099. All right, so down here, if this doesn't break, there's a high chance that this could then move all the way back up to the top. So, I mean, it is in a range. If you don't get an immediate break, then time to take profit at the bottom of the range. So, I mean, the monthly chart's a little bit suggestive that, those last 3 highs on the month there, it's clear that 79% level and that high over here. So this little push up there on the monthly chart was a false break of that area. So that might be some form of a little right shoulder area forming there to break, but till it breaks, it's support. So yeah, that would be my view. It's in a range until it's not. Tighten the stops up at the bottom of the range and see if it can break. All right. All right, Slav. Everybody, any more questions? NAS 100, all right, quickly NAS 100, and then I'm going to wind it up. All right, we're at a possible failure area up here at the 79% level of that range, but that monthly trend is up. It's going to be, it's going to be a long time before we know if the monthly trend is changing, but we're at an area where the trend could change. The weekly trend, I would say, potentially because we're at the 79% level here, we've been false breaking this high over here a little bit. Is potentially we could be putting in a lower top, like I was saying on the S&P 500 on the weekly perspective. We could be putting a lower top on here to trade down. I'm sure that's a 62 to 79% retracement, 79% retracement there. And now it's just getting a little bit mixed in here, holding on this area of support. You know, if we break below that low, I suspect we're having a down leg, a negative leg on the weekly perspective, until we, you know, we have a lower top, higher bottom at the moment, so it's a little bit mixed there. So it just needs to show a bit more information. Is it going to break north or south? I can see that quite possibly we're at very high levels where we could top out, but that day chart's mixed right now. All right, so if we get a strong break back below 15,264, we could be topping out. Okay. All right, everybody, thanks very much. Hopefully that was helpful. It's giving you some levels that you can trade with over the course of the next few days. Of course, be aware of the volatile news coming out between 10:15 and 11:15 tonight from the Eurozone and the US. All right, so don't have the fear of missing out. Just let that pass and then see what you could look at to trade after that. All right, thanks everybody. Ash, you're saying you logged in a bit late, but if you head back, anybody that's late or wants to review what I've discussed today, if you just head over to our YouTube channel, it is streamed on the YouTube channel. And once the webinar finishes, if you go to our YouTube site, head over to live. So YouTube site's ACY Securities Australia. Go to live. It will end up as a recording here, and you can just go back and watch. Okay, and review. And if you wait till tomorrow, it will actually be, the video will be segmented, so you can quickly and easily go to any section of the video and look at a particular pair. Okay. All right, everybody, thanks very much. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you next week if you have time. Thank you.